you wanted the best, you've got the best podcast, the hottest podcast in the world. The Chris Voss Show, the preeminent podcast with guests so smart you may experience serious brain bleed. The CEOs, authors, thought leaders, visionaries, and motivators. Get ready. Strap yourself in. Keep your hands, arms, and legs inside the vehicle at all times, because you're about to go on a monster education roller coaster with your brain. Now, here's your host, Chris Voss.
I'm Chris Voss here from the ChrisVossShow.com. Ladies and gentlemen, there are ladies and that makes it official. Welcome to the big show. We certainly appreciate having you guys. As always, the Chris Voss Show is the family that loves you, doesn't judge you, but remember, we do not loan you money. Stop asking, eh? Go to goodreads.com/Chris Voss, LinkedIn.com/Chris Voss, Chris Voss 1 on the TikTokity, and all those crazy places that we have there on the internet. Today we have an amazing young man. We're going to be talking about life, politics, immigration, and some of the stuff he does in his work with immigrants, et cetera, et cetera. We have Michael Hendricks joining us on the line. He grew up in a family dedicated to serving others. When he was 7 years old, his parents moved him and his 6 siblings with them to Mexico, where they worked as missionaries. It was there in Mexico that Michael learned not just to speak Spanish, but to serve others through the church, to work hard and love people. Boy, he must have met people that are different than the ones I meet on Facebook. No, I'm just teasing. Over the years, he has been well-versed in international politics and economics. Michael developed a unique understanding of the importance of culture and family. Welcome to the show. How are you, Michael?
I'm doing super awesome. Thank you for having me on, Chris.
Super awesome. Yeah,
yes, sir.
I love that. So give us your .coms. Where can people find you on the interwebs?
So I'm all over different socials. We have thousands and thousands, tens of thousands of followers, but primarily AllCanza.com. You can get all my different links there for my socials, but AllCanza.com, that's AllCanza.com.
So give us a 30,000 overview. What you guys do there?
You know what TurboTax does, Chris, right?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it just helps you simplify and process your taxes for those who are able online digitally. And we created the system that does that for immigration. That's the 30,000.
Oh, wow. And so what services you provide there? I see a lot of variants on the website.
Yeah, so we do, right now we specialize, we've offered, because it takes time to build this out. I mean, the government has been trying to do this for 20 years and it only has 7 processes digitized. Whereas we now have 32, and we've been at it for the automation process, building the back end, and then actually building the processes on top of it. We're already at 32 in about a year and a half. It takes me now about 2 to 4 weeks to build out a new process. But primarily, we're focused on family-based immigration, victim-based immigration, asylum-type immigration, refugee, and court-based some court-based applications for immigration where you don't need an attorney to submit it. So those are what we primarily focus on right now. People who've been victims of crime in the U.S. or domestic violence, they get special visas. Children that have been abandoned or abused by their parents get special visas. We have all those included, and usually we're at about 50% less than you'll pay with a traditional attorney, but you get an attorney review with the process.
And you can deal with that. Yeah, immigration's kind of an interesting topic right now, I guess maybe that's the word to say. It's definitely challenging. In your opinion, is the flow of immigrants coming to this country really as out of hand as they're mucking it up to be in politics, or what's the reality on the ground there?
Oh, 100%. Yeah. So I live on a border state, and it is very true. We've seen hundreds of thousands, millions actually, of people come through. And they've tried to stem the tide. There's certain policies that come into place that then are encouraging people to come to the border, run to the border. That happened under the last 3 presidents, so it's not unique to this president, Obama, Trump, and now Biden. And it'll continue to happen. The fact is as the world gets more dangerous, because it is, you have Central and South America tending back towards, in some places, you got El Salvador is kind of an anomaly, Argentina is a little bit of an anomaly, and what happened in Brazil is a little bit of an anomaly, but most of Central and South America has tended back towards socialism. And so under a socialist regime, you start seeing a consolidation of power in an elite group. It's really more egalitarian than it is socialism, right? Because you have an elite group that holds a lot of money and power, and they're the ones that determine who get it. But if you're a have-not, then you can't get access to the have. And so they start using military might, like in Venezuela, to quell any people that would speak up against them. Very similar we saw in Cuba and we still see today. And so they have to flee somewhere. The land of promise is where they flee. And I'm going to tell you, for these Venezuelans especially, that's hard. Their country was one of the top economies in the world. They were wealthy. Yeah. Their cities are beautiful. Their country is beautiful. Their culture is great. They're a little forward, in my opinion, like really pointed. But other than that, the culture is awesome. And for them to have to flee their country, this is a really hard decision. Many didn't even want to apply for asylum because with asylum, if you get it, you can't go back or you lose it. Yeah, it's very difficult for people.
I didn't know that you lose your citizenship in other countries when you accept it.
No, it's not that. So you can be abandoning your citizenship in other countries, but that's not what I was saying. What I was saying is that asylum in the U.S., you're saying that I am under direct and imminent threat for physical bodily harm or death in my country for X reason, because I belong to an X group, right? A social group, a political group, something like that. And so you come here and you say, you're the only people that can help me in USA. Will you help me in USA? Brings you in, the Statue of Liberty wraps her arms around you, and then you're here and you get asylum. If you go back to your home country, that means you are intentionally availing yourself to the threat that you said that was against you, which makes the government believe it's not a true threat. Therefore, they rescind your asylum authority or authorization.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that would make sense. I have often wondered about people who do that. There was the couple Russians that went back, and the name escapes me at the time, but they went back after, getting almost killed and almost killed again. Well, one of them, the other one died. I forget, Vivaldi. But yeah, it's interesting how, these things happen and how they work. And do you think a lot of people misunderstand the immigration process? Because I hear all this crap out in the marketplace about how, well, we need to vet them, and they don't understand. These people are vetted. We don't just they're vetted. Is that correct? I mean.
Sometimes. So it depends on how you enter, right? So the government has, the problem with the government is the government, right? They're going to pay $5,000 for a toilet seat that should cost $20. That's their problem. So they're ineffective for the most part. And I'm not just talking about the U.S. government. I'm talking about most governments around the world. Oh, yeah. The banding of people together and giving up a piece of their sovereignty in order for there to be a unified sense of protection and so on. That's really fallen by the wayside. So now we have governments that really just want to run everything, right? And so the problem with that is that they try to build things, but because they're so inefficient, unlike, small business and local business and private business, then they end up doing things either backwards or they just don't do them well. CBP-1 is an application that they created that does that. So that's supposed to be vetting people to do to come to the border, get an appointment with the Border Patrol in order to be able to obtain some type of benefit, at least an entry with a parole. But that doesn't happen a lot, especially during COVID. There was a floods of people that came in that were just let in. So if you were detained after coming in and you had some medical thing, and it could be obesity, by the way, that would put you at a higher risk for COVID, they just released you. They don't really know who you are. They don't know where, really where you're from, because practicing this, people tell me all the time, oh yeah, I got caught at the border, but I just told them I was from Mexico and they're from El Salvador, right? So just because they get data on people doesn't mean that the data is true. So they don't know. And you have all the situations where thousands of people rush the border at the same time. It happens actually more frequently than we know. And just a few years ago, there was one of the cartels posted up on the Mexican side of the border, took a 50 cal and started shooting across the border at the Border Patrol. Everybody had to hide. And while a couple thousand people rushed in, and amongst them, they found multiple people that were tied to various terrorist groups in the Middle East. No. I mean, you don't know. You could have a Mara Salvatrucha, warrior come in and, he knows how to get through the tunnels in San Diego. So there's no real protection, if that's the question you're asking. Yeah.
Yeah. And I know that they had a bill recently to try and fix that, and Donald Trump said, no, I need something to campaign on.
Yep.
It's kind of interesting. And my understanding was the Republicans got like everything they wanted in that bill.
Yep. It's horrible. They use it as a whipping stick. That's what happens. Yeah. So immigration is a whipping stick. That's why nobody wants to fix it, because when it's the Republicans' time, they lift the whipping stick and they beat the Democrats. And when it's the Democrats' time, they pick up the whipping stick and they beat the Republicans. So nobody wants to fix it, because then you lose your whipping stick. And that's the biggest problem, is that they just don't want to lose the ability to have a moral high ground. Neither one of them have moral high ground. Both of them are amoral. But yet, that's what they want.
Yeah, I mean, Congress could fix this problem in a heartbeat. I mean, they really could. And evidently the Biden administration was really... it's just amazing that our population, some of them are so stupid, they don't see they don't demand better from their politicians. You get the government you deserve. So how did you get into this field? How did you get into being in immigration and all this stuff?
As my bio says, I grew up as an immigrant in a foreign country. So I was a U.S. citizen living in central Mexico. I lived in various countries and have traveled to many countries. I speak a bunch of languages. And so when I decided to go to law school, I'm actually a serial entrepreneur. So I just start businesses and I sell them, basically. I've done this since I was like 19. And thank you for calling me young, by the way. I just have really good genes. I'm actually really not that young, but thank you. I appreciate that.
You got it.
Yeah, thanks.
No, you're on the show. We call everybody young.
Thank you. So that makes me feel really special now.
Yeah, doesn't it though?
So if my dad was on the show, you'd call him young too. I got it.
We would actually, yeah. I call everybody young. Yeah, it makes me feel good.
It does. Yeah. But anyway, so it was a natural, right? When I decided to go to law school, basically the fall 2006 to 2008, that economic fall, right? Mm-hmm. Everybody felt it. I felt it a lot less than a lot of people, but I did decide that I would like to do something that was investing in something more than just, hey, I can make money. You can make money at any time. I mean, we live in the U.S. If you really want to try, you really want to do it, you can make money here. So I decided to go to law school. It was kind of economic proof. And so went, and while I was in there, after like my first few months, I got offered a job with a very high-level immigration attorney. And so since then, I was like, yeah, this is it. I love to do this. I want to help people, and I can help people. And you know what? I'm a businessman, so I can make money at this. And so I've helped thousands of people. I've been doing this for immigration for 12 years as attorney for over 10. So we've helped thousands of people be able to reunite with their families. I tell you stories about things that have happened in my time where it really, it will make you cry, because it's like that person didn't see their mom for 20 years, and I was able to help them be able to see their mom again. And I love my mama. I don't know about everybody else, but I know, if I hadn't been able to see her for 20 years, I don't know. Crazy, yeah, it changes lives.
Yeah, it really does. So a lot of stuff that you work with, you've got a team there that you work with. You guys do full assembly, naturalization, renewal of residency, family petition. What do you find most people that are coming to you are usually struggling with?
Asylum's a big one recently, because so since people need asylum, so I if you'll give me a moment, I'll tell you why the system is broken too, especially in asylum. But before I get there, so asylum, we have it about 50% less than any attorney. But you get a guide that comes alongside you, a human guide, along with our AI. But the human guide comes alongside you and walks you through the process, through the system, right? They don't walk you through immigration. They walk you through our system. And so that's where we kind of draw that line. And then you have an attorney that receives the packet after it's gone through with you and the guide, goes to the attorney reviews it for completion. Not accuracy, it's up to the guide and the person to put their information, their name and stuff like that incorrectly, their date of birth. But the attorney's reviewing to make sure all the spaces are filled, there should be, all the boxes are checked, and then verifying that all the documentation should be included is there. And then returning with corrections. Hey, correct this, add this, subtract this, whatever. So it really helps people, and it's at $1,500 as compared to the minimum that I've ever heard is $3,000. And that's with no representation in court. We're just talking about the documents in the packet. So we're helping people that don't have access. And so VAWA is another one. VAWA means Violence Against Women's Act. And it wasn't just created for immigrants. It was also created for the Indian population, American Indian population, when they were there's a lot of crime by non-Indians on tribes. And if the non-Indian leaves tribal lands, then the tribal police can't go after that non-Indian person, even if they beat the crap out of their, girlfriend or the person they're sleeping with.
Wow.
So this was created for a lot of reasons, but it does help immigrants. If you're the victim of domestic violence by certain family members, you can get a green card if you're so eligible. And so this really helps a lot. And we've been able to help people because even the places that do this low bono don't charge what we charge, and they don't have attorneys on staff usually. We're faster, we're more transparent. It's just better, right? And it's just like any innovation. I don't fill my taxes out in person anymore. Why? Because I can go put my information in TurboTax, and every year it keeps that information in perpetuity, right? And I can just re-up it. But that's really what we're seeing the most of right now. We get a lot of green card applications from U.S. citizen children to their parents. So we get a lot of that. But we've already done thousands of applications. If you heard me, I said I've done thousands of applications in my 10 years as an attorney. And just my automation went live in January, and we've already done 1,000 applications since then.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah, so it's taken off. And I'm about to ink a deal with one of the largest Hispanic supermarkets in the country, and they're going to have one of our automated kiosks in all their stores.
You got a kiosk now for immigration? Wow.
Yes, sir. A live agent on the kiosk. All they do is walk up. It's like a mirror. They walk up, and they're just like, boop, 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 and they talk to somebody. The person's like, hey, we can help you out. Let's do an eligibility quiz. And it's sick.
That is crazy. That is wild.
It's amazing.
Yeah. It looks like you also do green card stuff. So if I need to get me one of them Russian brides, you can take care of it there, I guess.
As long as you've identified your Russian bride. I am not a SVM, which is a matchmaking service.
Yeah.
So although I've thought about including that, I'm like, why not? If I can create love and then help love be joined together, then that's just more love. I'm great with it.
I'm surprised Amazon hasn't picked that up yet and sold it on the website. Wouldn't that be funny?
Why not? Everybody knows that it's, hey, just put your profile in and we'll connect you. I mean, it's not.
On. You can buy diapers, soda, and a Russian girlfriend.
And a wife. Yeah, that's right. Just get her all in one.
Yeah, come on, Jeff. Can we work on that? We need to get that on board. So, what are some misnomers that people don't understand about immigration? Like I referenced before, a lot of people, I'm not sure they have all the accurate data, and they seem to get most of their news from memes. So there's that.
Yeah, isn't that how the world works today? Isn't that how we all get our information?
Pretty much. Yeah, I found about this podcast through a meme I saw yesterday.
Me too. That's it. Wow, coincidence. I wonder if it was the same meme.
Might have been. I don't know.
But there are misnomers. There's huge misnomers. The huge misnomers about the process and how it works and how you can just automatically walk to get your citizenship, or people that are coming across the border undocumented, like the people that we were talking about earlier, the droves of people that they're just getting status right away. And none of that's true. In fact, for a U.S. citizen brother petitioning a brother from Mexico, it's a 23-year wait. That's not immigration.
Shit.
That's
20.
Yeah, that's a jail sentence. I mean, that's a prison term. You can't run an effective. So if we look at changing the aspect, right? When you look at deterrence theory and criminal law, and you're looking at how do you keep people from doing it, one of the ways you keep people from repeating crimes or wanting to commit a crime is by what's called celerity. So the crime happens, now you have to punish the crime quickly. This is one of the fallacies of the U.S. justice system, is we don't do anything quickly, especially state courts. Federal courts are a little bit better. So that's also a problem with immigration. If you can't process things in a timely manner, all you're doing is pushing people to do things in their own time. That is not an excuse whatsoever for undocumented people coming. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that it does make sense why people do things outside of the law in order to obtain something or try to, because the way the system works, it's so broken that it can't really fix things in a timely manner. So I'll give you an example. If a U.S. citizen child right now petitions and asks for an adjustment of status, which means they go from this parent had to have entered lawfully or be eligible under certain provisions, right? Entered lawfully, now the kid's 21, a U.S. citizen, wants to take their parents from this overstayed, whatever they've overstayed, their tourist visa, to a green card. And they're clean, no criminal history, no issues, no fraud, no nothing, right? This is a clean case. It can take up to 18 months to do that. But why? Why does that, did it take you 18 months to figure out their kid is their kid? I mean, did it take you 18 months to get a report from the FBI that said they don't have any criminal history? Why? And it's because the government is so feckless that, especially in immigration. Now, IRS has been doing this a long time, right? The IRS has had APIs for digital processing for years. Why? Because you won't pay them their money, right? There's an incentive. Whereas immigration it's a benefit. Then they're like, oh, we're not super worried about it, man. We're good. And so they just kind of let it go. And so you have this huge backlog. So the misnomer is that people just go from nothing to something like this, right? And so that just doesn't exist. And that's one of the things we're trying to fix. And that's actually one of the points of AllCanza is eventually licensing it to the government so that they can use it. Kind of like Lados does all the processing for the paper filed tax returns. So we want immigration to be done through AllCanza, and it's a third party. We're better at it. Just let us do it. You guys do what you do, which I'm not sure what the government does well, but nevertheless, you do what you do, and we'll do immigration. So how about we just shake hands on that, and you pay us, what we need to get paid.
That sounds like a healthy way to do things. It's an interesting world that we live in, and I wish more people would pay attention to, how they're being pulled around by the nose hairs by politicians and fed misinformation and all sorts of crap, I guess, basically, when it really comes down to it.
Yes.
What are some things that we haven't talked about that people should know about your business, what you do, how to do it, how to approach you for help, et cetera, et cetera?
Obviously, they can go on to allcanza.com to approach us for help. But we're doing a lot more. We're starting to open regional centers all around the country, which will allow people to get classes for English. So still in the U.S., I don't know, most people don't know this. We don't actually have an official language in the U.S. There's no official language. There's no codified official language in the U.S. Yeah. Did you know that?
I did not know that there was no codified. My grandfather was an immigrant from Germany. I don't believe in, this is American language.
Uh-huh. We're a lot of people call us the melting pot, right? But I say that we're actually the tossed salad because we do have people that come, and just like lettuce maintains its consistency, but yet it's part of the whole. People maintain their culture, and I want that. I want people to maintain their culture because I think that culture is beautiful, and how it interacts with other culture, I think, is beautiful as well. But people don't understand that in order to really get ahead in America, you do have to speak English. It's just a requirement. And there's no official language, but it's a requirement, right? You get ahead in business. In fact, to get ahead in business in China, you have to speak English. Why? Because the world of business operates in English. That's just the way that it is right now. Kind of like the petrodollar, right? We're the universal language for business. And so you have to learn it. So we start providing classes so that people can take classes for English to be able to learn how to speak English better. We teach them how to open businesses, how to create better business models, how to basically manage their accounts and their checking, and how to become a U.S. citizen, and then the classes to teach them actually the process to get them prepared for it. So there's a lot of things that we offer. We're really trying to provide, and we work with governments in Mexico. We're starting to work with governments in India. And so it's not just U.S. immigration. Eventually, it won't just be U.S. immigration. It'll be immigration to a lot of countries and helping people come here and helping people go there. And that way, we're able to provide the richness of culture across the different divides. Because I believe there have to be borders. There have to be. I know that some people are like, no borders. And I'm like, part of the definition of a nation state literally is fixed borders. So you have to have borders, but that doesn't mean you can't provide a simplified way of being able to share your experiences and knowledge. But that's something that we do. Did you see the tweet by Elon Musk the other day? It was just a few days ago, I think, where he said the U.S. we should create and use our immigration system like a professional sports team. No. We should always be recruiting the best players so that we can win. And I'm like, so that sums it up pretty well. I'm like, that's an accurate statement, right? But his best players and my best players may be different, because I will say, if anybody, no matter who's elected, if anybody tries to do mass deportations, we'll cripple the economy.
Expand
70% of all roofers. Yeah. What's that?
Yeah, expand on that, if you will, because that's being kicked around right now in politics, and people seem to think that's a possibility, I guess.
It's not. First of all, do you know how much money you'd have to spend to find and deport 11 million undocumented? That's 11 million. That's the number the government gives. That's not even close. It's more like 30, maybe even up to 50 undocumented people. They're hiding in the shadows. How would you know? They're not signing the census and sitting back saying, hey, I'm here undocumented. So it's just guessing, right? And the problem is that, first of all, financially, that would be impossible. Secondly, you'd have to hire judges like nobody's business, and nobody wants to be an immigration judge. It's a super boring job. And then the other side of the coin is the economic. And one thing you can say about the former president is that he's an economics guy, right? That's what he looks at. That's his focus. Whether he's good at it or not, that's opinion-based, but that's what he focuses on. And anyone who has half a brain looks at the economies and says, okay, let's see which economies would completely crumble if we didn't have immigrants. One of them is the farming. We have huge amount of immigrant labor that comes in or that is here, and they're the ones that pick our chilies. I say chilies because I live in New Mexico. We have the best green chili in the world. Right?
Those green chilies, they barbecue or they roast on the side of the road.
Oh, man.
Wow.
Oh, yeah. You can smell it coming down the road.
Oh, you have to stop and get a garbage bag full of them. Yeah,
fall is here.
Yeah.
So we got chilies.
About Albuquerque, yeah.
I'm telling you, it's horrible for crime, right? If you're gonna get your car stolen once a couple years. But yes, we're the auto theft capital of the United States.
Really?
Violent crime. It's bad here in Albuquerque.
Green chilies, wow.
Yeah, you'd think people would be happy.
You think they'd be happy? I'd be happy.
Yeah, I know.
I love roasted green chilies, and I slide the mozzarella stick up them. The mozzarella sticks you get for kids. Slide you blast off the skin, and then you bake the mozzarella thing. And oh my god, you put some pepper flakes on it.
That's a chile relleno right there.
Dude, I could eat that shit all day long. Like I could live on that stuff. I'm pretty much.
Of course, your stomach can't handle that all day long because then you'll be doing what you just said.
I'd eventually, my stomach would be like, "We're fucking done with you, buddy." So,
yeah, I'm done. Can you stop, buddy? I'm finished.
Yeah, it's interesting. I always talk to people because it's funny how the same people who want immigrants mass deported. I had COVID 3 weeks ago. I'm still getting over it. The people, still trying to get my voice back. The people that want the mass deportation, they're the ones complaining about the prices of food and stuff. And I'm like, do you understand how much the migrants help keep costs low for food? Like if you're complaining about inflation now and you want to deport all the migrants, you don't know what's coming, do you?
You won't get food because scarcity, right? So then all of a sudden the cost will go up, and then the demand will continue to be the same, but the cost will go up, and there will be scarcity, which means that the economy wouldn't provide you as a lowly you the product that you're looking for. But for instance, 70% of all people that do roofing, just take the industry of roofing, right? Huge industry, take it, 70% are immigrant. Out of that 70%, 50 total percent, which is 50% of all the group, they're undocumented. And construction in general is about the same numbers. So you want, I don't know if people remember during COVID, but during COVID, you couldn't get lumber, you couldn't get windows, you couldn't get anything. It shut down construction to where it would take you. I have a friend who started building in like September of 2020, and he still doesn't have his house yet. Yeah, and it's not a huge house. It's like 2,400 square feet. It's not like a normal size house. Wow. Yeah, so that would be all the time in the U.S. So you want to bring the economy to a screeching halt, then try to do mass deportations. Aside from the cost, I mean, it would be billions and billions and billions of dollars in order to actually have enough personnel to pull that off. They're already like 5 to 6 years behind in the immigration court system. And I don't know if you know this, but we did mass deportations at one point in the 80s. And we would take people in huge tents. We would set them up. We'd put an immigration judge at the front of it, put up that's your honor, right, to the desk. Yeah. And he'd sit there with his bald white head, right, and be like, hey, I'm deporting all you people, right? Boom, he hit the gavel, and 500 people were deported like that, right? What ended up coming from that is we send them back to their country, Guatemala, Honduras, Nicaragua, and El Salvador primarily. And that was the few years that the Mara Salvatrucha was come up, the MS-13. Most people don't know that.
Oh, yeah.
So Mara Salvatrucha is actually from El Salvador. They were there. And what happened was you sent them back to a country that had nothing and was just devastated by war. Soon enough was going to be devastated by earthquake and devastated by hurricane. So you sent them back where they had nothing. So what did they do? In order to make money, they started stealing from other people. Then they got good at it. And then they moved. They migrated from there. Now the whole setup is in Cancun, Mexico. Un gitano arroz. So when people talk about having problems like, oh, you have this MS-13 gang member just killed 5 people in an IHOP, it's, that we kind of caused that. Like with Libya and Gaddafi and his son. I mean, there's story after story after story where if you really start, that's the reason I'm so down on the U.S. government. I love the USA, don't get me wrong. I believe red, white, and blue. I just don't like the government. Either side.
I've often talked about that, and I guess maybe you can confirm that. I grew up starting with reading 1,000 Days, Schillinger's book on John F. Kennedy's thing. And then since then, I read about all the mucking about we've done in South America. We've created the problems we have now in South America over the last
100%.
40, 50 years. I mean, Reagan's bullshit and what was it? It starts with an E.
The Contra,
Nicaragua. Then what was the big massacre that we helped propagate? It was in Ecuador. I forget that.
I don't know that one off the top of my head.
Maybe I have the wrong country. But, we
Mexico had a huge massacre, but that wasn't us. That was the Mexican government. They killed a bunch of students. People still don't even know where they are. Yeah, this happened in multiple countries. And most of it has to do with U.S. government interests. We may not have been directly involved, but we were the catalyst for a lot of it. And so, I mean, you look at the whole time that we were in El Salvador and Nicaragua and the time we were in Colombia, the war on drugs. Don't get me started on the war on drugs. I actually like Reagan, but the war on drugs is the dumbest thing we could have ever done. You tell a kid something's wrong, and then all of a sudden the kid's going to want to do it. And if you had just educated people and been, hey, here's a safe place, because it's like penalizing a thought crime, right? Mm-hmm. It's like I haven't actually done anything illegal because I haven't actually hurt anybody. I consumed something for myself, but I didn't hurt me yet. Now, the thing you have to go in tandem if you legalize everything, which I'm not in favor of drug, never done a drug in my life other than caffeine, right? But if you legalize it, then you can make sure that it's safe and that people have places to go. But you have to take away the healthcare aspect where if somebody shows up and OD'd, you can't just provide free healthcare because now you are hurting the system. Like you drive down the road and you kill somebody in a car accident, now you're going to get thrown under the jail. Why? Because you did something that put yourself in a situation where you harmed someone else. But telling me that I've committed a crime by putting something in my own body, dude, that's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
It's the world we live in now.
That's not constitutional in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah. What if we just did you say sometimes it could take 30 years to approve people. I mean, I'm a big believer in taxation because I get taxed being an American. Why don't we just say fuck it and just blanket driver's license, blanket Social Security, just get these people taxable so we can get it in the system. We can get part of the money that they're already earning. We can, of course, we can raise some of the issues. Like, why don't we just do that? That seems like that would just be like a nice just do it once and just clear out all the background. It may put a rule in that says, if we find out you're a really bad person beforehand in another country, we will revoke your status. This is the U.S. government. We can do anything we want.
Yeah.
But it seems like that's really the thing to do at this point. At least to eliminate the backlog and start over. Maybe, I don't know.
So what you just said. You sound like Reagan. What you just said was exactly what Reagan did in 86. So he set an amnesty in place. And what he told, at that point, he was a Republican president and Democrat Congress, right? And he said, we'll do amnesty, but you got to secure the border. Because what happens is if I tell you, hey, eventually if you come in, if you wait long enough, eventually I'm going to give you a status. Then what happens? Everybody's, I'm going to America, right? I'm going to Disneyland. So they come in droves, right? Because they're like, eventually they're going to wear down and they're going to give me a status. So you have to do it in tandem with something else, right? You have to improve the immigration system overall. You have to improve the border, which, by the way, technology is better than a wall. In remote areas, a wall is great because it actually keeps people from getting in as long enough for somebody to arrive or technology to alert. But in most areas, you don't need that, right? You need technology that senses stuff and so on. So they're doing some of that stuff, and that's fine. But you have to have it in tandem with other things, border security, but you also have to improve the immigration system overall. And here's the problem. There's a guy that does he's on YouTube, and he does speeches where he shows the population of the world and marbles. I don't know if you've ever seen it where he puts a marble
I think
in.
I have, yeah. I think I've seen that.
And he shows how if you were just to say, hey, we're going to make immigration processing just open, right? We're just going to, if you apply, you're going to get approved. It may take a little while, but you're going to get approved. So he shows how that's not possible, because what happens is you end up having one part. It's kind of like of a virus. A virus runs to one spot, right? And then consumes all that's good about it and then has to leave because there's nothing left there. And we see this. So we see this in geography and in topography in Mexico. So I don't know if you've ever been to the pyramids in Mexico. Have you ever been to any of the pyramids in Mexico?
No.
Okay. So there's a pyramid group called Palenque. Palenque is in Chiapas, Mexico, and it was discovered about 50 years ago. Some white guys like chopping through the forest and, oh, there's a pyramid, and literally a whole grouping of pyramids that was consumed by not the forest, the jungle. And what it was is the Mayans, the expert builders and engineers that they were, that this is what they would build. So what they would do is they would settle in an area, they would take down all the forestry, they'd put up their pyramids and set up their civilization. But within about 50 years, that's a rainforest. It rains all the time, which means if the rain is falling, the topsoil, if there's no trees to help slow it down, the topsoil flows away, and then you can't grow crops there anymore. So after 50 years, they had to be like, crap, we have to move to another place and destroy it. So that's exactly what they did. And that's exactly what would happen in America. So how do you fix that? You make it to where you have a merit-based plus family unity hybrid system where it's, yeah, we still put some focus. You get rid of the brother to brother. That's not an immediate relative. Like, just don't have those petitions anymore. You're not going to petition your siblings. That's another family. But you can help your parents, you can help your kids, you can help your spouse, right? And so you consolidate a little bit more, and then you say, hey, if you're a person that's willing to work labor, and we need that labor in specific industries, then we're going to do it. Right now, they don't have that. They let you come in, but only in seasonal industries. Oh. So they're like, hey, we need people to pick chilies, but you can only be here for 6 months, and then you got to go home. And it's, nobody wants to do that. A lot of people want to live in their home, and if they can come work and everything, but you do this after a while, and it's, I brought my whole family, they've been raised here, we've been educating people. It's like the DACA kids. We were just going to throw the DACA kids out. We paid all this money to educate them. Yeah. It was the school system. Yeah. I'm like, why are we going to send them somewhere else? These kids are great kids. But like you said, you have to really be strict on the criminal element, though. If you've committed, it's like me coming into your house without permission, and then you being like, hey, I'm going to be nice enough to let you stay, and then I start breaking your dishes, right? You're going to be like, what the freak, bro? I let you stay in my house. I don't even know you, and now you're breaking stuff, right? So that's basically how it works. You got to find the people that are breaking the dishes, and you got to send them home, right? That's there's no question about that. I don't think anybody on any side of the spectrum has a question about that. But that combination, I think, would work.
Let's get you elected in office and get you doing the things there.
Plato says through Socrates is writing. Socrates says through Plato's writing, anyone who wants power should never be in power, because he doesn't want power to use for the good of his fellow man. He wants power for power itself. Oh. So I have no desire, unless one day I run for president. But other than that, I have no desire.
It's been interesting. Give us your final thoughts as we go out. Tell people how to onboard or reach out to you if they have questions about everything you do and your .com.
I very much appreciate you having me on, Chris. For real, it's been a pleasure, and I thank you for the opportunity. I know that you have great reach, and I've started listening to your podcast.
Thanks.
And so I appreciate that. Once again, my name is Michael Hendricks. I'm I'm an attorney. I am a husband, father, and I'm actually a pastor too. And so we work hard to help people achieve their dreams. In this case, it's immigration through AllCanza, AllCanza.com. You can see all my socials on there. I do a live every day for 30 to 45 minutes, and it's mostly in Spanish. So if you're an English speaker, sorry. But yeah, join me, AllCanza.com. If you need help, the number's on there. Give us a call. We have a customer service line. People can help you through the beginning of the process to see if you're eligible, and then move you through to the end to get your American dream realized.
And I just need to move to Canada for old age, healthy reasons and stuff. So thank you very much for coming on the show, Michael. We really appreciate it. It's been very insightful. We learned a lot.
Thank you very much. Anytime you want to have me back, I am available.
Sounds good. And thanks for audience for tuning in. Go to goodreads.com/Chris Voss, LinkedIn.com/Chris Voss, Chris Voss 1, the TikTokity, and all those crazy places on the internet for your family and friends or else. Thanks for tuning in. Be good to each other. Stay safe.